Welcome to the Everyday Tarot Podcast, your deep dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, your hallowed high priestess, tarot reader, and professional witch. And today I'm talking about a month ahead spread for April 2026. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every Monday morning to check out the latest episode. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you want to access the most up-to-date info on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life, my newsletter is a one-stop shop. The link to join that will be in the show notes. If you're interested or know someone that might be a good fit to be a guest on the podcast, please fill out my form linked in the show notes as well. And if you'd like to get a 30-minute 5-card tarot reading from me, you can go now to mykel.com link to book that now. I'm starting to offer tarot readings for folks, and I'm so excited to kick those off. You can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes, or you can always check out the Patreon. So patreon.com/everydaytarot, where you can find the images of the cards I pull, detailed blogs basically about each episode, and that will have all references as well. All right. So for our main discussion today, I am doing a month ahead tarot spread for April 2026. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up now. So this is a welcome April with a monthly tarot spread. I found this on incandescenttarot.com, their blog, that they did. I'm trying to see, I think this was from 2018, but they did a April month ahead spread. It is 9 cards, so we're going to be doing a long one today. So go ahead, grab your tarot decks if you want to play along, or you can always listen. And again, if you ever want to see the images of the cards I pull, you can check out the Patreon, where I have basically like a long form summary of each episode. I put some of it in the show notes, but it's even longer over on Patreon. And you can check out all the images of the cards there. All right. And you can check those out for free. I have additional things on the Patreon where there are paid offers, but the stuff for each episode is up there for free for everyone. All right. Let me see here. I might do something where I actually share my screen. For a moment, we can look at let's see here, the month ahead tarot spread. All right. So here we are on the incandescenttarot.com blog. So again, like I said, this is for April and the A9 card spread here. So I think if I scroll down, we can mostly see it, but I'll just show you this here. So we're going to go through 9 cards, and you're going to stack them from the bottom to the top, from left to right. So we do 1, 2 at the bottom, 3, 4, 5 in the middle, 6, 7, 8, 9 at the top. And here's our sort of themes here, or cards. And yeah, I'll have the link to this tarot spread where you can go follow along there. Sometimes I save the image and put them on the blog as well. But lots of people make spreads, so this is someone else created. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and let's see here. Let's do my layout. Trying to decide what kind of view I want here. That's close, but we can't actually see them all. Let's see, maybe like this. You can still see me over here. Picture in picture, full screen. Here's me. All right. we'll try this out. We'll see how this goes. That way you can look at it if you're watching the video. Or if not, again, like I said, you can check out the Patreon or the show notes to go ahead and jump over to this blog to start your tarot spread. So go ahead, grab your decks. I'm going to be pulling from the Anima Mundi Tarot deck by Megan Weirer-Wenden today. That felt appropriate for April. I don't totally know why, but that just felt right. We'll go ahead and shuffle a couple times here, and then we'll start pulling our cards. Okay, well, I ended up with a card at the bottom, so we'll start with that one. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all my cards. I'm going to leave the other ones. No, I'm going to pull them all. I was going to say face down, but I actually want to look at them all. I don't always do that, but okay, interesting. And again, you start at the bottom left. So we do 1, 2 at the bottom, 3, 4, 5 in the middle, and then 6, 7, 8, and 9. Interesting. All right. So I will put up the cards that I pull on the screen as images so you can see those when I'm talking about them. But the first one I pulled for card 1, this says your current self. And I pulled Temperance, which on here shows some flowers. I'm going to look it up in the book because I don't totally know what flowers they are. They're azaleas or rhododendrons. It says Temperance is all about taking the middle road. Drawing this card indicates you have achieved inner peace. Okay. And are in need of it. Go with the flow, take everything in moderation, and don't stretch yourself too thin. Okay. So upright, this is about patience, balance, moderation, taking the middle road, adaptation, and self-evaluation. All right. So we're working on our inner peace. We're feeling balanced, or we're seeking that, some moderation, right? Okay. So that feels fairly clear. So what about for card 2? This is our theme of the month. And I actually pulled the Lovers in reverse, which is interesting. On here, it depicts 2 cranes, I think, the bird. Lovers, red-crowned crane. So it shows them in a mating dance. They mate monogamously for life. So upright, it's about like love, harmony, passion, choices, relationships. So when we think about it in reverse as our theme for the month here, it's going to be, sometimes the opposite of that, where we're struggling with it. So more about a breakdown in communication, perhaps dysfunction, imbalance, or lack of harmony, which is interesting because, right, the first card said, right, with Temperance, we're seeking balance or we're seeking some inner peace. And maybe that's because our theme of the month is feeling imbalanced and a lack of harmony, right? There's some tension or friction there about what's going to happen for us this month. All right, let's go ahead into card 3. So this is the key goal for the month. And we have a lot of reversals in my pull. I think about half of them are reversals. So for this one, I pulled the Page of Cups, which shows an adorable otter kicking around in the water. The cup suits in this deck depict all water animals. So let's go ahead and look at the Page of Cups. Let's see. So the Page of Cups depicts a sea otter. So upright, it's about kind of what otters embody: boundless, intuitive, kind of silly, playful inner child, dreaming big, following your heart, etc. So, but if you think about this in reverse, it says it's about immaturity, lack of focus, escapism, impulsiveness, and feeling creatively blocked. So yeah, again, as we're going into Q2, if you're in business world, which is just the second quarter of the year. So we had January, February, March as kind of the first quarter, Q1 of the year. We're moving into kind of our second right, second half of the first half of the year, into our fourth month of the Gregorian calendar year. And yeah, something is kind of like amiss. Like I said, again, there's like lack of focus, feeling some like blocked creatively. Again, if we think about otters and their playfulness, right? Like how fun they are. And I don't know if you've ever watched them. I've seen them at the zoo, and then like occasionally, I don't know, I think I've seen some in the wild. I see a lot of seals in the wild out here in the Pacific Northwest on the coast, or in the Puget Sound. Um, but otters, not quite as much, although they are always at the zoo. I feel like they're very cute, and they just kind of kick around. Right, they're known for, they lay on their back and they interlink their arms or themselves while they sleep, so they don't float away from each other. Um, so all of that is very cute and adorable. So yeah, it sounds like our key goal for the month is just feeling like we don't have focus, which again can sound kind of, I don't know, scary, but I think also month ahead spreads are helpful for us in thinking about, right, kind of how to prepare or how to, not be shocked when things come up. And this feels very apt for me. I am, submitted all my hours in therapy world for my full license. So I've been an associate since I graduated from graduate school. You have to get a certain amount of hours, and then you can apply, and then you get your full license, which means you kind of have no restrictions on it. You don't have to have anyone supervise you anymore. And that you're kind of, okay, you're fully there. Kind of like you can do it all on your own. You still have to do continuing education every year, but other than that, you've made it to therapist, full therapist. And so I know for me, like I started that journey in 2019, or even started thinking about it in 2018. Applied in 2019, started grad school in fall of 2019, and here we are in 2026, where essentially almost, more than 7 years since I started thinking about it, but 7 years since I like started graduate school, um, finally getting to that like full licensure. So I know for me, it's kind of like, okay, like I don't know what the goal is anymore, right? I had this goal for such a long time. That was the thing to work towards. And now it's kind of like, well, what's the next thing? So I know, feeling this kind of a little bit of imbalance, or just trying to figure out what's next, what, and I know for me, right, we can, when we think about temperance or the current self, like I'm trying to find peace with that, with not knowing, right, not having a plan for the future, which is hard for me to deal with. Um, but just thinking about, okay, like how do I chill out like the otter? And just kind of enjoy where I'm at and allow things to unfold as they will. So let's go into card 4, which is our obstacle to overcome. I'll be curious if this relates to what we were just talking about. So again, this is in reverse. So I pulled the Page of Wands. This card depicts a spotted salamander. So it looks black, and then it has like green, yellow neon spots on it, and it is in reverse. So upright, this is about, it's like the Fool card, a fresh yet passionate outlook on life. You have creative spark. Go ahead, be spontaneous, follow that muse. So if we think about it in reverse, this is more of that pessimism, lack of direction, lack of success, and immaturity, right? So again, this makes sense as this is our obstacle to overcome, right? With how the other cards are falling, right? Is like, okay, like the obstacle is not having direction, or feeling like we don't have direction, or perhaps focus, feeling like I don't know what I'm doing next. And that's kind of our obstacle right now. Um, Here. Oh, I need to scroll down so you can see number 5. Okay. So number 5 here for our 5th card is major accomplishment. Interesting. So I pulled the 3 of Swords, the heartbreak card, but in reverse. So we're really flipping everything on its head today. Okay. So again, this depicts a robin, the bird. It's usually upright, about pain, heartbreak, learning a lesson from that pain. So when you think about it in reverse, it's about healing, right? It's about releasing pain, the refusal to let go, or loneliness. Um, and so, right, our accomplishment is that we're healing, right? We're on this journey of healing and we're working through it, right? Perhaps we'd been in heartbreak before and now actually we are on our way towards something new. So we should celebrate that release of, what's been going on, like releasing that desire to have everything planned, to have everything figured out. Um, and to, yeah, perhaps like let go of some of that. All right. So if we go into card 6, I'm going to scroll back up again so you can see where the cards lay. So for 6, I pulled the 5 of Swords, upright this time. And this is 6, which is what to avoid. Okay, so this is the 5 of Swords, card 6. And this says, pick your battles wisely and think before you act. The 5 of Swords is about tension and disagreement with others. Even if you have won the battle, you may have still lost by hurting others, right? So this is what we're going to be avoiding. We're going to be avoiding that, not disagreement necessarily, but really being strategic about, okay, like, yeah, maybe we met our goals, or yeah, maybe like these things are coming true for us, or yeah, okay, maybe like we're going to have to give up some things, right? And trying to avoid hurting other people in our climb to the top, perhaps, or in our goals, or just in conflict when it comes up, right? It's not to say conflict is bad. The 5 cards are all about conflict in every suit, pretty much, or tension. They're sort of, again, if you think about the journey from ace to 10, as ace being like the number 1 card, 10 being the kind of completion card in each suit. 5, right? We're stuck in the middle. We're in the middling area between starting something and the accomplishment. So sometimes, right, that is a tension, right? And again, sometimes perhaps to really make things happen, right, we kind of bulldoze through other people. And so this card is telling us, like, try to avoid that. On this card itself, it actually depicts, so we see 5 swords that are sort of thrust into the ground and they're standing up on their own. And then we see all these like bird feathers on the ground, like something's happened here. And I don't think it was good. Perhaps they took off really quickly, right? Perhaps they're dead. We don't know. But there's sort of like an ominous aspect to this card in the particular image. All right. So for card 7, we're going to look at what to embrace. And I pulled the Ace of Cups in reverse, which is fascinating. So, upright, this is about, right? Cups are about emotions. So, the number 1 or Ace card is all about like the beginning of the emotional fulfillment of love, compassion, happiness, starting something new, new relationship, new job, new thing, giving and receiving love with another person, opening your heart, love, compassion, overflowing. Okay. But in reverse, we're talking blocked emotions, bottled up feelings, and a feeling of emptiness. So this is very interesting, right? Because this feels counterintuitive to say, what are we embracing? We're embracing blocked emotions, bottled up feelings, and emptiness. Like, what does that mean? And I think this is why reversals are hard sometimes. So this deck actually does give you some words for the reversal definition. Not all decks do. Some have their own definition. This one sort of has like associated words with it. So I think my way of interpreting this is our what to embrace. I think it's kind of like embracing perhaps like the emotions as they come up, even when they're not positive, right? Like, I'm not going to say we should like purposely bottle up our emotions or block them, but I think perhaps we're embracing feeling even the hard ones, right? If upright, this card's about like love and compassion and happiness, all these things that we sort of associate with like positive emotions. Emotions don't really have positive or negative to them. That's a lot of how we think of them culturally or societally, but really all emotions are good. All emotions serve a purpose. Um, and so if we think about it as like, okay, yeah, we're trying to embrace actually like maybe reviewing our emotions and seeing what's coming up and maybe like allowing grief or emptiness, right? Or like feelings that have been bottled up to actually like come through. And the Ace of Cups card on this deck, I'll put it up on the screen too, but in the image here, we get like the cup overfloweth. And so again, if we think about it in the reverse, the cup is like upside down, the water's going up instead of down. And so maybe that's another way to interpret this is that maybe we're embracing our connection with spirit, and instead of maybe dealing with our emotions in the material realm with other people or by trying to like solve problems with other people or talk about it or like work through the conflict in that way, right? Maybe we're doing introspection or we're talking with our guides or ancestors or gods or goddesses that we may work with and asking for help in maybe dealing with or allowing emotions to arise and see where they go and not necessarily putting that responsibility on other people, but trying to figure out for ourselves, like, okay, what does this actually mean for me? So that's going to be my interesting interpretation for today. For card number 8, this is where to find support. And here I pulled the 7 of Pentacles in reverse. It depicts an elephant on the card here. Okay. All right. So upright, it says you're thinking about the future. You have investing a lot of time and effort in a long-term goal. You have also learned to focus your efforts where they're important. It's slow progress, but your goals are coming to fruition. So the upright, it's about planning, perseverance, slow growth, patience, and investment. And reversed, which is interesting, this says where to find support. It says it's about wasted efforts, limited success, and lack of prioritization. So again, sort of not an obvious answer here of where to find support. But I would say that, right, if in the upright, it's about like slow, steady progress and trying to kind of slow things down. Perhaps in reverse, right, we're really looking at like where are we wasting effort, right? Where are we sort of like turning our wheels. If you think of like a car, if it gets stuck in the mud or in something slippery, where the wheels are just like turning, but you're not going anywhere. I would say that this is kind of like what this card is pointing to, that there's something where we're not feeling the success, or either we're not making a priority or we're putting too much of a priority on it. Something needs to be like evaluated here. Yeah, and again, it's not totally clear to me like how that answers the where to find support question. But maybe someone that is supporting you or is in a supporting role in your life, um, yeah, maybe like that's not working right now, or it's having you spin your wheels in this particular way that you feel like, why isn't this working? Right? I'm putting all this effort into it. Why isn't it working? Um, so again, there's something here that needs to be like reevaluated, I would say. And then for card 9, oh, I just looked at the clock and it's 3:33. I love like angel number. So where you have repeating numbers there. Actually, I have a 333 necklace or 333. Um, anyway, And 333 equals 9. So card 9 is all about advice and encouragement, which again, fascinating. Pulled the 10 of swords here, which in this card, it literally like depicts 10 swords in the back of a dove, like ominous, right? Like this is a very interesting reading today, where we have to work hard to figure out, what is this about? What does the reversal or upright mean here? Okay, so yeah, it depicts a dove, the 10 of swords. It says you may have recently experienced a crushing failure, betrayal, or disaster that brings you to your knees. However, you should be mindful of not making yourself into a martyr because of it. This card means you've hit rock bottom. From here on out, there's nowhere to go but up. So, upright, it's about hitting rock bottom, backstabbing, endings, defeat, and release. So, I guess if I'm thinking about advice and encouragement, right, it's kind of like, okay, well, there's nowhere else to go but up. So, perhaps something in your life is just feeling like, down and out, like, I don't know what was happening and it was felt terrible. But yeah, things are going to get better from here, right? And again, sometimes maybe in reference to some of these other cards, we have to allow ourselves to actually feel like the that feeling of hitting rock bottom. Like it's not a fun feeling, right? Like most people are not like, yes, this is what I want. But sometimes what we may feel as failures or when things don't go well means like they're not meant for us, right? Like maybe it felt like so hard putting in all that effort to try to get this thing and then you still don't get it. Like maybe it's time to let it go, right? For one of these other cards is telling us, like, what do we need to release right now? Right. This one's about endings, right? Like, is there an ending of a relationship, of a job, of a behavior you've been doing, a coping strategy that's not working for you anymore? Um, and so this spread today, right, is encouraging you to like review and really feel, right, okay, like this is kind of feels like as bad as it gets. And then like to move on from there, right? Like to release the thing that hasn't been working and to look for new things, right? Look for some clarity or change or reevaluation or recovery, which is what this card in reverse is about. So kind of like moving on, right? Again, the tens are about completion. And for the swords are that air energy. They are like the mental plane. So overthinking, right? So perhaps there's something you've had a lot of anxiety about something and then it happened, right? That's what the 10 of swords could be about is like something coming to fruition that like maybe was our greatest fear, right? And like, yeah, we have to grieve that and that's an ending. But then, right, we get to move on and like hopefully, one day learn from it or at least, yeah, maybe make different choices in the future or learn how to let maybe some of our perfectionism go, anything like that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing this. We'll go back to just my face. um Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to pull another card. I don't usually do that on my spread episodes. But I'm going to pull another card from this deck. Okay, I pulled the Queen of Cups in reverse, which here I think is a humpback whale or a blue whale. Let me look. Um, but yeah, we can think of this as like a clarifier card, which just might give us more information as to what's been going on. Yeah, so this says the Queen of Cups upright is the humpback whale. Warm-hearted, emotionally secure, intuitive, in tune with the emotions of others. She welcomes all with open arms and provides guidance and emotional support. Be empathetic and supportive of those around you. But again, this is the upright definition, and I pulled it in reverse, right? So for our clarity, for our clarifying card, it says in reverse, this is about emotional insecurity, coldness, dependence, and bottled up feelings. emotions. So again, we get that message of like something's feeling bottled up. You're feeling frustrated, or something's not working in the way that you thought it was going to, whether that be, again, like a relationship of some kind, or a job, or a thing you've been working on, a project. And this is saying, like, right, let the feelings out. Like maybe you're feeling dependent on this thing, or feeling cold, right? And we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we move from emotional insecurity, right? Not being okay with our own emotions, to actually feeling them, and maybe making choices based on our emotions. A lot of us, especially if you were socialized or brought up as a woman in this world, a lot of our emotions and the way we express them have been shamed or shunned, or told that that's not real, that's not how you feel, that's too intense, that's too much, being drama queen, right? This is the Queen of Cups. So, right. And actually, right, we have to learn how to, um, not take that on as actually our responsibility to protect other people from our intense emotions. We have to actually feel them. Um, and we have to be okay with expressing our own emotions and how we feel about things, even when it's kind of those like, yeah, things that get named as negative emotions, like rage or anguish, or disbelief, or disappointment, any of the coldness, even, right? Like being in that unfeeling state. We have to allow ourselves to feel so that we can kind of like soar. Um, Otherwise, we're just going to be kind of held back by trying to protect everyone else, right? Again, the Queen of Cups upright, like she's warm, she's emotionally secure, and she's in tune with other people's emotions. And you can be in tune with other people's emotions and not take them on as your own. Um, that's a thing I work with a lot of clients with in therapy. Is I work with a lot of very empathetic people, often like neurodivergent, raised as women. And part of what folks struggle with is anxiety and like hypervigilance, like feeling like you have to pay attention to other people's emotions all the time and try to act accordingly. And I think a lot of the work that I've worked on in my own life and in my own therapy, and that I like to help my clients with, is like giving that back to other people. Or right, being very intentional about like who you are emotionally attuning to. Like we can do that as a choice, but if you go out in the world and you emotionally attune to everyone you interact with, you're going to get lost in other people's emotions, and we have to figure out like what's mine and like what's other people's, and like do I actually consent to taking all of that on as my own? Because if you do, like, often it's very draining emotionally, physically, mentally, and it's hard to kind of take care of ourselves. So I would say the Queen of Cups and upright and her maturity is also about like recognizing like what's hers, and sure, like passing on lessons to other people, but not like taking on everyone else's emotions as your own responsibility. Um, yeah, so I'm going to say that was our dive in and see what the cards have to say today. And I pulled all of these cards from the Anima Mundi deck by Megan Wyrewenden. A lovely, I would say generally like gentle deck. I love the colors. It's sort of like moody colors, blacks and grays, navy, blue. We get a lot of like water, weather imagery. Yeah, so thanks for joining me today. You can expect weekly episodes published on Monday mornings. You get guest episodes that come on the podcast about once a month. Every episode is recorded on video. If you want to check out the video for this episode, you can go to Spotify or YouTube. And I just was reading that Apple Podcast is now going to allow video as well. So hopefully that will be something I getting also my episodes up on Apple Podcasts on video. But otherwise, you can always check out the audio on any whatever your favorite podcast app is. Yeah, what else? If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast, you can fill out my form to be a guest in the show notes. Links for the decks that I use will always be in the show notes and on Patreon if you want to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Tune in Monday mornings to check out the latest episode. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. And I also will have the link to get a tarot reading from me if you are interested in a one-on-one session. All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.